morning. I would like to call the City Council meeting for August 23rd, 2023 to order. The time is 7:02. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I should clarify we are in the City of Mount Vernon City Council meeting. I think everyone probably knows that, but just in case. All right, item B tonight under C is our roll call of members. I will ask the clerk to call the roll, but I will say that Councilmember Carillas and Brocksmith are excused this evening. Thank you.
Councilmember Beaton? Here. Councilmember Hudson?
Here.
Councilmember Hulst?
Here.
Councilmember Molinar?
Here.
Councilmember Morales?
Here.
All right, thank you. Under community comments tonight, item 1 is the review of emails from the public. These are public comments sent to the email communitycomments@mountvernon.gov. I'll ask Peter Donovan if there are any comments tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. There are not.
All right, thank you. Item 2 is anyone who may be here. We're very excited to have visitors tonight, so thank you all for being here. If anyone is here specifically for a public comment, you're welcome to step to the mic at this time. Anyone for public comment? All right, we'll move on. In our consent agenda tonight, we have items A, B, C, and D, comprised of council meeting minutes, payroll checks, claims, and transfers, wire transfers.
I'll move the adoption of the consent agenda.
Second.
Right, thank you. Motion by Mark and a second by Gary. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, committee reports. Tonight, the first item up for committee is Finance and Parks and Enrichment Services. That's Councilmember Mary Hudson. Mary.
Thank you, Mayor. We met tonight just before this meeting here in this chamber. The first item that we discussed was Parks and Enrichment Services. We had 3 of the leads from some summer recreation programming here gave us an update on the 3 of the programs that they were in charge of. David first talked about the supervised playground program. He said it was a huge success. He had so many people thanking him for bringing this program out, that the kids and the parents were just really delighted. It was at Edgewater Park on Mondays and Wednesdays and Bakerview Park on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's like I said, it's a drop-in program that provided an opportunity for kids to connect with peers, and the staff was there as positive mentors. And they had a lot of crafts and games and sports activities. The visit from the reptile woman, I'm sorry, that has to be the best thing ever. And visits from local nonprofits such as the Watershed Council. Note that I would not be excited about the reptile woman, but it must be fun for kids. The next person that provided us an update was Mandy, and she talked about the Rec on the Go program. This program operates Monday through Wednesday, and it stops at some of the local apartment complexes and some of the smaller parks in our community. The department stuck the van with very excited about this program. She thought it was really successful and a lot of community and very well attended. Brooke was the last presenter, and she talked about the summer nature programming, and she said it was a huge hit. All the programs were well attended and people were wanting more of them. They did 7 weeks of nature camp at Hillcrest Park and Little Mountain Park. They had the Explorers Outdoor Program where they had a $10 backpack full of supplies for outdoor adventures. They did a habitat hunt, field guide scavenger hunt, and bugs at Bakerview, another probably very happy and popular event. And they had the Ask a Naturalist Day. They did it at Hillcrest Park, Little Mountain, Bonnie Ray, and then this week they're doing it at Beaver Pond Park. They're free programs, encourage people to visit, and a lot of parents stayed with their kids to do these programs. They just had a ball, and it was also very well received. So really excited that these programs were a hit, and we really hope that they will continue into the future because nothing's better than letting a little kid go back to school and, what'd you do this summer? Well, I ate bugs and trees and I went here and there. And it's like, instead of, well, I sat home and watched TV, you know, that's exciting to have them kind of doing things and getting out and meeting new people. So I'm excited about that. Then we went on to the really exciting part. We talked about finance. The first thing we talked about was our fiscal policy. We're getting ready to gear up into the budget season, so The budget process has begun, and the first thing that we all want to review and we need to review is the fiscal policy of the city, all of the processes in the different departments. So we went over that today. We also then moved on to a problem, if you will, about utilities foreclosure and penalties. During the COVID pandemic, we halted any penalties on late city utility billing accounts. And it's now come to our attention that we've got some people in arrears, and it's probably time for us to start being a little bit more proactive and start to enforce penalties again. I mean, I'm not talking about huge money, but it's just the fact that it's service and it needs to be paid for, and we feel like we've given a fair accommodation, and it's time to move on to try to collect that money. We were given an update on the library commons finances. Nothing's really changed since last month. We're going to have an ordinance before us tonight to approve a $1.7 million loan from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Total payments for that we've paid out so far have been $20.5 million, with a remaining budgeted amount of $32.9 million. Sorry, didn't want to go there. 2023 financial update. Summary was given of all the 2022 actual revenue and expense numbers, and what the new projected fund reserves are now estimated at for the end of 2023. We were also presented with 2023 actual numbers through June. We were also all sent detailed reports in our email of June activity through the city's financial reporting system, which is really pretty fabulous. We can look at so many things and drill down into all the details that we could possibly want. So it's a great tool for all of us to use. The revenue reported through August 23, sales taxes at 6.6 million, transportation benefit district at 1.6 million, REIT, which is real estate excise tax, is at 846,000, and our ambulance billing is at 890,000. We adjourned early because we're going to come back and actually talk about some items about our law enforcement. So we adjourned our meeting at 6:52.
All right, thank you so much, Mary. Next up, a committee report from Development Services Committee, and that's Councilmember Melissa Beaton. Melissa.
Thank you, Mayor. So we had a Development Services Committee meeting in here last Wednesday evening, and after approval of the minutes, we discussed in further detail proposed amendments to our chicken code after receiving a request the previous week from Councilmember Brock Smith to consider or reconsider a couple of the items, which include neighborly agreements and allowance for chicken coops in front yards and side yards. We discussed the importance of clear and concise code, and because consistency is important and current city code requires sheds be placed in all backyards, it's the majority of council's desire that the same apply to chicken coops, so no front yard or side yard allowance. It's also important for enforcement purposes to be clear and concise and to not leave code up to interpretation in regards to residential side agreements. Otherwise, we cannot easily enforce bad actors, and that's what we're trying to accomplish through this code. Then we received an overview and benefits of the community rating system. The city participates in this incentive program through FEMA, and after exceeding a number of requirements, it qualifies our residents for a reduction in flood insurance for those properties that have that requirement. It's on average of around $230 a year. And then we received department updates, including discussion on our 2023 docket work plan, where staff advised most, if not all, items will be completed by the year end, and that's pretty impressive. Items listed on the worksheet as pending indicate that work is being prepared by outside consultants, and so it's in a holding pattern for staff. Items noted as in process indicate that staff are moving along on those items. Last month, we added a sub-area plan specific to the waterfront development, and that won't be completed this year, but needs to be on our docket so that preliminary work may begin. And we'll have more on that in future Development Services Committee meetings. And we received an update on several properties around town. Exciting news, the Bank of America in downtown is being repainted. We have a new car wash coming to the 2400 block of Riverside Drive. And for those of you that have been around the county long enough, to us, that's the former Greg Hinton car dealership. Now it's, what's in there?
Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight. So there's, north of that, there's a car wash coming in there. The 300 block of South First Street, there's a remodel that's coming along. And we do have a 16-bed, 24-hour drug treatment and detox center that's coming to 18th and Division. And so that was, I think, welcome news for all of us up here on council. Unfortunately, there was a fire at the President's Hotel recently. It was contained to one unit. There are no sprinklers in the building, but there is a requirement on all new public facilities over a certain square footage threshold that sprinklers are required for life safety. There is a fire alarm system as required by code. The President Hotel is owned by the Housing Authority, and the city continues to receive complaints that come into either city council or the mayor's office regarding the outside condition and the painting of the building. I just want to point out that the city has absolutely no authority over the Housing Authority or that particular building. So while we do have design standards for new builds or major office remodels, we do not have a paint requirement for buildings when they start to weather. If you have concerns, I would encourage you to reach directly out to the leaders of the Housing Authority. Then, for the good of the order, Pat Hayden has served the last 4 months as our interim Development Services Director. He thanked the mayor and staff for their professionalism and assistance during his tenure. And then Mayor Boudreau discussed topics for our August 30th Committee of the Whole meeting, which is tentatively scheduled to begin around 5:15. I wasn't sure either. And the agenda will be published on Friday. And with that, the meeting adjourned at 7:30.
All right, thank you so much. Under Committee Report for Public Safety, I'd ask the clerk if she could go ahead and strike that tonight and place that on the next agenda. That'd be great, thank you. All right, item B under reports is council member comments. Any council member comments tonight? Okay, moving on, under mayor's report, just an update on the Mount Vernon Library Commons construction as always. Currently, we are 50% complete, so we've got a long way to go, but it's kind of exciting to see the structure as it stands today. Concrete is still being poured on the top levels, and so that will continue through Friday, August 29. They will also then start doing the framing, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire sprinkler rough-in on the bottom floor, and that's going to start at the end of August. And let's see, levels 2, 3, and 4 fire protection and electrical rough-in has started and will continue through September. So after many, many years of being in the ground and now it's out, now we're going to start the things going on those bones. And so that's pretty exciting. For the public to have more information, you can always go to our website, mountvernon.gov. We do monthly construction update videos, which are really informational. And for those who haven't heard of the project before, which there still are some, it is a $53 million project, the largest economic development project in the county history, largest project in the city history, public library, conference center, commercial kitchen, restrooms, and parking, about 276 parking stalls.
Pretty close.
73, sorry, with 76 EV charging stations. So we're very excited to have it 50% complete. Again, mountvernon.gov for any updates or information. All right, item D is committee agenda requests. Any committee agenda requests tonight from council? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. There is no unfinished business tonight. Under new business tonight, item A is a celebration. We are inviting Jennifer Berner, our Parks and Enrichment Services Director, forward, and we'd like to make some recognitions regarding the 25th Street park improvements. And I'm going to let Jennifer take it from here.
Do you guys want to come forward? You guys can,
We'll just send you a
so this is something that is one of those wonderful things to celebrate, where we were able to bring some partnerships together to make a park improvement. And let me bring this one up here. So 25th Street Park, we all know that that's a fairly new park for us with the playground equipment. Back in December of 2022, a Leadership Skagit group approached us saying that they wanted to adopt 25th Street Park to do some additional improvements in that park. And they had already partnered up with our local Kiwanis Club. And so we were able to do a couple meetings and talk through what those improvements could be. What we came up with was, if you remember at 25th Street Park, there was a backstop that was there. Well, the kids were using it as they were kicking their soccer ball into the backstop. And so what we figured out was, well, maybe they need a soccer goal there and not a backstop, right? So we were able to figure out that if we could figure out how to fund a soccer goal, we would need to put up a fence behind that so that any balls that get missed by the net, we would have a way to capture those balls without it rolling into the street. We didn't have much landscaping out there, so we were able to put a little landscaping there in front of the fence that you can see. We also were able to fund a new park bench, which is what this one is here. We had one over by the playground on the opposite side, and then we were able to put in a new picnic table as well and add a picnic table. And again, this was just a wonderful partnership between Leadership Skagit, Mount Vernon Kiwanis, and the Parks Department. The Leadership Skagit group, Sean, our Parks Maintenance Operations person, he was able to schedule work days with them. And so they actually came out and performed work. Some of it they did on the weekends, and we just had our crews checking in, and other of them were able to come during the week when we were doing certain pieces of work out there. So we were working alongside them, and they were doing a lot of wonderful work out there as well to make this happen. They were also able to, the Leadership Skagit group was able to do some fundraising, and so Peace Health donated $550 towards plants and supplies for the project. And Skagit Soils donated 10 yards of topsoil for the project. And Urban Forestry Services donated the 5 trees that we were able to put in out there and the staking supplies. And then there was $9,000 that we needed to come up with for the balance out of the project. And Kiwanis, our Mount Vernon Kiwanis Club, stepped up and was able to fund the balance of that project. So again, just a wonderful partnership, and our citizens are the beneficiaries of this, and our kids are the beneficiaries of this. Seeing the kids out there playing soccer and in them actually having a soccer goal to kick their ball into is wonderful. So I wanted to just make sure we give adequate celebration to this and the partnership of this, and introduce you to the folks that made this all happen. So our Leadership Skagit team, their advisor was Bridget Ibarra. I don't think she was able to make it this evening, right? But we also have here Ariel Corey. You guys can stand if you want, or you can just wave, whatever you're comfortable with. Jenna Blade, Laura LeBrun, Orlando Machias, and he actually ended up, through the project, he was volunteering, and we recruited him to be one of our 3-month seasonals. He was such a good worker. So he came to work for us this summer. Awesome. And Bennett Maisley. Thank you. And Grant Lee. So those were our folks from Leadership Skagit. And then Mr. Bowen is here from the Kiwanis Club, and so he's going to say a few words in regards to this project. And then, did you guys figure out if there was someone on your group that wanted to speak? No? Okay.
Thank you. And I'd also like to say that with me are Don Wick, who needs no introduction, and Dave Town from our club as well, who's also Kiwanis Lieutenant Governor. It is wonderful to see see you again, Mayor Boudreau, and my friends and neighbors on the council. Some of you have been here long enough that you have seen me come to this council to petition for funds for various causes that I support. So I can say without reservation, it feels really, really good to bring a check back tonight. It is. Our contribution is just one of 3 different contributions we're going to be making over the entire phase. And the numbers will just disappear after the numbers that we've heard tonight in the millions and the hundreds of thousands of this and what have you. I'm going to give you a number that is much more relevant. It's 5,000. The contributions that my club is going to make represent 5,000 meals served at the Kiwanis Salmon Barbecue. It takes 23 people doing 5-hour shifts each day just to finish one day of the salmon barbecue. That's 115 hours. What we're going to give represents half of an entire tulip festival. When you calculate the number of hours that's put in just to work the actual event, you add the amount of time that we spend chopping and stacking firewood and doing all of the other administrative things. What you have here is clear proof of the level of commitment to the people in this town to building their community and the commitment of service clubs. And so I'm here to speak for service clubs in general, Kiwanis in particular, but service clubs in general. Every time you come to a town in Washington State, you might be driving and you see something and you think, okay, I want to pull in for dinner here. Almost inevitably, you'll see a K or an R on a sign that says, "This town welcomes you." And that tells you this is a place that I want to be. You wouldn't recognize the city of Mount Vernon without these clubs. And so whenever I finish one of these shifts, and I brought people from the outside of the community to work for us and work with us, the first thing they always say is, when can we do this again? When can we do this again? There's always an opportunity. So folks, I know some of you are esteemed service clubs, Rotarians, our dear Rotarian friends as well. If you don't belong to one of these organizations, call them up. I joined when I was advocating for another organization. I thought to myself, I need allies. And so I joined the Kiwanis Club. Mayor Boudreau gave me the honor of helping to clip the ribbon on the 25th Street project last year. And what I said then, I'd like to repeat to you now. The poet once said that no matter what happens to you in your life, you can always return to that great treasure house, which is your childhood. So you're not just creating a playground through this public-private partnership. You're creating a treasure house, another treasure house for Mount Vernon. It's one of the many things that you do in order to give our children the platform to go forth in the world and the desire, hopefully, to come back afterwards. And for these efforts, I thank you. I thank you for joining with us in our mission to serve the children of the world. And we look forward to coming back next year with more contributions. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Joe.
So again, just wanted to say thank you to, the leadership Skagit team and our local Kiwanis Club. It wouldn't have happened without just that partnership. And our parks wouldn't look the way they do if it wasn't for these types of partnerships going forward. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Parks and Recreation is my passion, and being able to bring this to the community is just wonderful. And I appreciate each and every one of you and the effort that you put forth. So thank you, and thank you so much, Kiwanis, for picking up the balance to be able to make the project come to fruition.
Our pleasure.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you.
If it's okay, we would love to get a
Get a
picture.
photo?
If you don't mind coming forward, the council can stand up, and if you guys are here, then we can get a group photo and send it out and celebrate with you. That's okay. Yeah, just just hear him, we'll kind of fill in.
Covers up.
Please do. My short person isn't here to cover me.
Oh, no, it's good, just, we'll get in there.
All right, we got 2 cameras to do this with, so bear with us. Maybe more. We'll see. Do you want one too, Jennifer? Your camera also? 1, 2, 3.
You might feel, you're taller.
1, 2, 3. All right. Thanks.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yep.
Joe? Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
I thought we were serving food. Don's here.
All right, so that's a
That's joking,
great
Don.
news and wonderful addition to our community. And Councilmember Mary Hudson reported that our Parks and Rec had some wonderful children's programs in that park this summer, so lots of great things. So, all right. Item B tonight is a presentation from Skagit County. So I'd like to welcome Sarah Hinman to the podium. This is to help the council understand the county's efforts around a crisis stabilization campus, something that I have to commend them for working very hard on. And so I think Sarah's going to give us an update. Are there some slides that you need some
Yeah, I
help
do
on?
have a PowerPoint. I don't know how to pull it up.
There.
Where's Peter?
Peter went
Peter left.
outside.
Left?
Doug's coming up and he's going to help you find
I
it.
think I found it.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, there you go.
I think Chris even knew where it was.
Hi.
Keep
Farther
keep
over.
going over,
Farther
Sarah.
over.
Under
Almost there. Keep going.
slideshow.
There
There
we
you
go.
go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to see you all. I'm excited to be able to give this update. We have some good things happening. Phase 2 of the Skagit County Stabilization Campus is moving forward. As a reminder, or if you're not familiar, this campus is located off Highway 20 in Cedro-Woolley, just past Life Care Center. Phase 1 opened a couple years ago. That's a 16-bed mental health evaluation and treatment center. So that is for folks who have been detained and committed due to their mental illness causing imminent danger to themselves or others. So that's a facility that serves mostly our 5-county region, but also has folks from all over the state. So the original plan on that site for phase 2 was a 16-bed secure detox center. We've learned over the past couple years about a lot of challenges around those facilities. The ones that are currently in operation throughout the state are running at about 50% capacity because of the difficulties getting people detained or committed for substance use disorders. It's even more challenging than it is for folks with mental illness, and we know how challenging that is. So that's kind of been on hold for a while. But then late last year and early this year, a few things kind of happened all at the same time. So first of all, the North Star Project spent a good portion of last year doing a lot of needs assessment, doing a lot of stakeholder groups, interviews, and it became pretty clear to the consultants that we were working with that one of our priorities needs to be more resources for our law enforcement and our co-response programs like the iOS program. We heard a lot of stories about all the challenges they face, how the emergency departments and jail are being used inappropriately for people who need care, and how people are cycling in and out of there faster than law enforcement can even drop them off, and all that kind of things. I'm sure you hear from Chief Kamek and Erin and her group. We know, there's still been a lot of expanded outreach
between iOS and other groups and the CRT program with the sheriff's office, but our resources for behavioral health haven't expanded along with those programs, unfortunately. Another thing that happened was we learned about the Spokane Crisis Stabilization Center, and Pioneer Human Services, who runs that, actually reached out to us, asking if we would be interested in doing something similar in Skagit County. Their access for that center is through law enforcement drop-off and co-response teams. So that's something that perked our interest. Commerce also came out with a grant opportunity. We applied for it knowing that it wasn't nearly enough money to do something similar to what Spokane had done, but we decided, you know, we'd apply and see what we could figure out, or do a smaller facility, or figure it out if we got the grant, which we did. And then we were able to get a $12.7 million direct legislative appropriation for the facility last session. The commissioners committed $2 million of county ARPA. And I really can't overstate how important the North Star project and the partnership with the cities was to getting that legislative appropriation. Our commissioners are 100% convinced that that would not have happened without the partnership of Mayor Boudreau and all of our cities and our mayors. I think our lobbyists encourage us to not ask for more than $5 million. So through this group effort, we were able to get that, which is huge, and made the project go forward. So thank you, Mayor Boudreau and our partners, for that. So this is what the Spokane facility looks like. There's a mental health crisis stabilization wing, there's a acute detox wing, and then there's a wing for the longer term intensive co-occurring disorder residential treatment. We just had a group of from our facilities department and our public health department and our architect, which is I'm gonna get this wrong, CVG, went over, walked through, met with Pioneer Human Services, talked to them about what they would do differently with design if they knew what they knew now, got some good ideas. So our facility here, it is going to be 16 beds of mental health crisis stabilization, voluntary, so different than the ENT, which is involuntary. 16 beds of medical detox, so they'll have medical on site so that folks won't have to first go to the emergency department to get their medical screening or their medication. That's all available on site. And then the longer term 16 beds of residential treatment. So it's kind of a one-stop shop, so law enforcement, first responders, co-response teams won't have to figure out what their primary issue is or anything like that. If they're having a behavioral health issue of any sort, they can take them, drop them off there. The folks at Pioneer can figure out which kind of services they need and get them to the right bed within that facility. So Pioneer runs a little bit different program, diversion program with law enforcement drop-off in Everett in their old jail. So these are some outcomes that they saw, you know, a decrease in jail time, increase in treatment participation, increase in housing. I did get some outcome metrics from the Spokane facility after, of course, after I sent in the PowerPoint, but they're 2022, some of their outcomes, they served over 1,000 people. Their readmission rate was 24%. The average time that law enforcement had to spend dropping somebody off at the facility was 11 minutes. Let's see, what else? The first responder service satisfaction survey on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being very satisfied, was 4.21. For patients, it was 4.72. 57% of folks were connected to primary care appointments, 86% were connected to confirmed behavioral health appointments upon discharge, and 80% of folks experiencing homelessness were connected with housing services upon discharge. They have housing case managers on staff. So timeline, we have the architect now working on the plans. Best guess would be opening in somewhere between a year and a half. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Sarah on this facility?
Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Super exciting.
I think it came together much quicker, and what Sarah said, I think when we were sitting around in some North Star things, we're like, well, why would we not ask for what we need?
Yeah.
And really relied on our state representatives who really came through too. So now community will benefit from just saying, hey, this is what we need, so, yeah.
Pretty awesome.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Sarah, thank you so much for coming tonight. Appreciate that. All right, item C tonight is a public hearing. This is the LaVenture Road rezone. That's what it's called. It's plan number 23-0077. Mary Ann Manville Ailes is here from our Development Services Department, and I am gonna try and talk slower so she can get her slides up. This is a closed record public hearing as well. The address is 2210 North LaVenture Road.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman, people. We, as the mayor said, we have a rezone tonight for, we're the Thurman rezone. It's Deborah and Richard Thurman at 2210 North LaVenture Road. And this shows you where it is located. And I know in your packets there was information about the reason for the rezone is so that they can boundary line adjust to the adjacent facility, and that is these properties right over here. And this is the properties that are owned by Skagit Council Housing, and it is Mount Vernon Manor. That's the apartments that are there, and they have this little vacant piece down here that's right adjacent to the Thurman's property that they would like to boundary line adjust part of the Thurman's property so that they have additional area that they can put additional housing in there. And just to kind of give you a little bit more, right down here, this is where the college has their housing right now, so that's kind of that gives you a touch of how everything works there. And then you can see, this is the Thurman's property. It's got the R3 zoning. This is the Skagit Council Housing, and they've got the R4 zoning. And right now, with the way our code works, you can't boundary line adjust between properties that have dissimilar zoned property. So that's the purpose for this. And you can see in this area, there are a lot of different colors of zoning in the immediate area. And then this is this aerial photograph I have in here. These are the closest apartments that they've got in the Mount Vernon Manor. And I just wanted to show you that this front part is where the Thurmans have their house. So it would be the back part of this property that they would be looking at boundary line adjusting after this is all completed. So the total site is 3.44 acres, and it currently has a multifamily residential zoning of R3, and it's proposed to be multifamily residential R4, and the comprehensive plan designation is consistent for either R3 or R4. On July 20th, we had a hearing examiner hearing, and the hearing examiner has recommended approval of this proposal. The applicant has satisfied the rezone criteria that are outlined within the Mount Vernon Municipal Code, and has also met the judicial rezone criteria to establish that there was a change in circumstances, and has completed all of the procedural requirements for the rezone. And staff would recommend that council would follow the hearing examiner recommendation and adopt the accompanying ordinance and approve the Thurman rezone from R3 to R4.
Right. Questions for Mary Ann before we open the closed record public hearing? Mark?
So it seems to me that several years ago, I believe it was X-Telms, had tried to rezone some property right around that Austin Lane area. And it was in conjunction with the housing authority. And the neighbors in that area were quite upset about that. Did the neighbors participate in this process at all?
We didn't get any comments from any of the neighbors at all, and I believe the Councilman Hulse, the property you're talking to that Axel had was this property
That, I believe that's to be,
right
Sure.
here, and the neighbors that were complaining were the ones that were just north of them. So this is a little bit further away from the neighbors that were most vocal on that. That might be part of it, or maybe with the change of circumstances with the housing situation that we have today in the state, maybe that has people are less concerned about providing additional housing.
no, I was just curious on whether there was any participation from the neighbors there at Austin Lane and any
Didn't hear
concerns
anything
or-
from anybody.
Nothing, okay.
All right, with that, we'll open the closed record public hearing regarding Plan 23-0077, and I see no one here to speak, so we'll close the closed record public hearing. All right, this would be ordinance 3871. Any questions from council, or what is your pleasure?
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion that council will move to adopt ordinance 3871.
Second?
All right, motion by Melissa and a second by Mark. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. All right, item D is a public hearing. This is regarding the wastewater treatment plant master plan. This plan number is 23-0171, and Rebecca Lowell from Development Services is here for this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. So as the mayor stated, the agenda item I have before you this evening is for the adoption of a 15-year master plan for the city's wastewater treatment plant that will need improvements and expansions over the next 15 years. These improvements include a new carport, administrative and storage buildings, primary, secondary, and high-rate clarifiers, aeration basins, digesters, and other similar improvements. These improvements require a master plan because of the public zoning of this property. And master plans are what we call in our code a type 4 permit, which means that this permit was taken before the hearing examiner who made a recommendation, and then before you this evening to City Council, who provides the final approval at tonight's closed record hearing. Here's just a general overview of where this site, or where the wastewater treatment plant is located in the southwest portion of the city. North is up towards the top of the screen, and I've identified our city limits and our UGA as well as the site on this map. And to zoom in just a little bit further, we've got the Skagit River immediately to the north of the site, I-5 to the east, and I've identified Dyke Road on this map just to orient everyone, and north is up towards the top on this slide as well. This is a current aerial of the existing wastewater treatment plant. It looks a little bit different because I've oriented this with north is towards the bottom of the page. Here you'll see the Skagit River at the bottom, but you can see in this aerial the levee system that surrounds the existing wastewater treatment plant and the millions of dollars of infrastructure that currently exist on that site. There is one of the exhibits in your packet tonight has a full set of plans, but I did include just this one plan that shows the existing and proposed improvements. You can see where the red letters are, identify the future improvements to the wastewater treatment plant over the next 15 years. Just a real brief summary. This permit was submitted to our department in early June. We had the hearing examiner's hearing on July 20th, which was an open record hearing. The hearing examiner, once he rendered his recommendation, it was distributed on August 9th, and there were no requests for reconsideration that were received by the department. And then, of course, tonight we have our city council hearing. And with that, staff is recommending master plan approval for this wastewater treatment plant, subject to the hearing examiner's recommended conditions of approval that were contained in the resolution before council.
All right, questions for Rebecca on this? I have a procedural question because I didn't even think of this. So if we're doing a closed record public hearing, we can talk and that's it, right? Because it's the city's property? Or is, like, who would be eligible to talk? I'm just
So we
curious.
had two parties of record, but I don't believe either one of them are here
Okay.
tonight, but anyone who had submitted comments would become a party of record. But there were no substantive comments.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we'll open the closed record public hearing regarding our wastewater treatment plant master plan. Any comments? And seeing none, we'll close the closed record public hearing. This would be a resolution, so what I understand, that would be resolution 1042.
Well, I would move the adoption of resolution 1042, adopting the wastewater treatment plant, master plan.
All right, thank you.
Second.
All right, motion by Mark and a second by Juan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. All right, item E is approval of an agreement with Skagit Conservation District. Jennifer Berner, our Parks and Enrichment Services Director, is back up for this item. Jennifer.
Good evening again, Council. So before you here this evening is a land ownership agreement. So it's Skagit Conservation District and the Skagit Fisheries Enhancement Group were awarded a grant through the Department of Ecology. So last year we had a grant to help clean up Edgewater Park, but that was through RCO that the fisheries had applied for. And that grant is still going through 2025, but now they've got another grant through the Department of Ecology to help with these efforts. So that's even more money and boots on the ground to help us out there at Edgewater Park. And so with this, we need a property agreement because the work that's being done is on city property, and the groups that are doing it is, the actual group that will be performing the work is Skagit Fisheries. And so between 2023 and 2025, Skagit Fishery plans on conducting riparian work out there at Edgewater Park. Again, like before, they will discuss with us which areas they're going to be doing. We'll have a scope of work. We'll meet with them like we've done and continue to do with them with the RCO grant. We go out and walk the site with them and say, yes, this looks good, and this is where we want to continue to do work. They're removing invasives, and then where it's appropriate, we will come in and do some plantings. They'll come in and do some plantings. And so with this, we are asking, staff is asking approval for the mayor to enter into a landowner agreement with the Skagit Conservation District for a collaborative riparian stewardship project at Edgewater Park. And so the agreement is with Skagit Conservation District. The people on the ground, they have an agreement with Skagit Fisheries, and Skagit Fisheries will be the folks performing the work, which are the same folks performing the work for us with the RCO grant.
Awesome.
Hopefully I said that right and it made sense.
All right, questions for Jennifer on this item? It's
Juan.
good work. Go ahead, Juan, please.
Thanks. I agree with the mayor. It's going to be good work to get this going. And really, the only question that I have is at the bottom of the memo, the last paragraph mentioned that about at the conclusion of the project, at the end of 2025, the city will be required to do the maintenance for the project for the next 10 years. And I'm just trying to get a flavor for where we might be in terms of labor, because I know we've heard in the past issues with labor. And so we're going to be committing to the maintenance of the site in 2 years from now. I'm just trying to get a sense for that.
Yeah, so the same was with the other grant as well. Whenever you get money from these organizations, they want you to maintain it for a period of 10 years afterwards, and our hope is to maintain it after that as well. Once they do the work, we want to make sure that, we maintain it. Part of it is getting the work done is the hardest part, and then coming in and making sure it's on our maintenance list. It's also building up our volunteer base, right? We cannot do all of our trails all by ourselves, and so this is trying to get that volunteer base going that will help us maintain the trails or get continual funding through different resources to help us come in and do contract work or something like that. So the biggest piece is getting the work done in the front end which is what they're doing. And then the maintenance, we make sure we stay up on it going forward.
So the maintenance part will be
question.
more doable then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
sounds good.
and
If
ramping
here-
up our volunteers.
Okay, excellent. If I hear no other questions, I'll motion for the approval.
Thank you. All right, motion by Juan and a second by Gary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, item F tonight is the approval of an agreement with TAMJAC LLC. Peter Donovan, our special projects manager, is here for this. Peter.
Thank you, Mayor. Hello, Council. Since the beginning of the city's CDBG program, Mount Vernon's always contracted with a CDBG program consultant to oversee the processes and to ensure our program remains HUD compliant. TAMJAC is a limited liability company with extensive experience in handling the HUD regulations associated with CDBG entitlement programs. And the proposed agreements for a one-year term, the agreement's capped at $5,000 monthly, and 100% of the contract amount will be paid with CDBG pass-through funding. So with that, staff is asking for a motion, recommending a motion to authorize the mayor to enter into this one-year agreement with TAMJAC for CDBG consulting services.
All right, questions for Peter on this?
I have no questions. I'll make a motion that council authorize the mayor to enter into a one-year agreement with TAMJAC for CDBG consulting services.
Second.
Great, thank you. Motion by Melissa and a second by Juan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Item G tonight is an agreement, approval of an agreement with Welcome Home Skagit, and this is again Peter Donovan.
One more item that just missed your consent agenda. This expense was approved as part of your 2023 annual, CDBG annual action plan. It's for $18,612 in public services funding through your CDBG program to operate a day shelter. So this is going to Welcome Home Skagit. We had the discussion on May 10th about our public services use, and we had a lot of folks here that said they wanted to add the day shelter as part of that. Initially, we were talking about 5%, and that would have put them a little bit under what they needed. And I think it was Councilmember Holst that advocated for the 5.6% that got us to the $18,000 that they needed. So that is what this agreement is. And it's just a recommendation here for a motion to authorize the mayor to enter into this agreement with Welcome Home Skagit for a day shelter and a resource center. This is operating expenses within the city of Mount Vernon.
All right, questions for Peter on this item?
No, seeing as I was a loudmouth last time during the conversation, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we authorize the mayor to enter into the agreement with Welcome Home Skagit.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, motion by Mark and a second by Mary. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. And thank you, Council. Sarah does an amazing job with the day shelter, connecting people with lots of things, so. All right, item H tonight is the approval of agreement with HDR Engineering. And Chris Phillips, our Public Works Director, is here for this.
Hi,
Chris.
good evening, Mayor, Council. Staff recommends entering into a professional services agreement with HDR Engineering for planning, modeling, and development services for the 2025 Sewer Comprehensive Plan for the amount not to exceed $567,850. The city last adopted a sewer system comprehensive plan in 2003 and has been operating from that forecast and baseline methodology established over 20 years ago. The Public Works Department has performed updates and modeling to various sections of the plan when preparing to implement various system upgrades throughout the years. But we have not performed a comprehensive assessment of the collection system and the wastewater treatment to realign future needs with the growth and new regulation requirements in 2 decades. This planning effort will include review and update system inventory and GIS data, evaluation of current and future planning data, demand forecasting and system analysis, an evaluation of the nutrient reduction capabilities and other regulatory requirements, develop an updated wastewater capital improvement plan, and develop a suitable financial program. This plan will also review and recommend updates to the city code, future plan updates, and additional areas of future system development, and really goes hand in glove with what Rebecca Lowell briefed with the master plan. City staff, again, recommends a motion to authorize the mayor to execute the professional services agreement with HDR Engineering for the development of the 2025 Comprehensive Sewer Plan for the amount not to exceed $567,850. Pending your questions.
All right, questions for Chris on this? Been a while.
I have no questions. This isn't one of those exciting contracts, if you will, but it is absolutely necessary, and so I'll make a motion that council authorize the mayor to execute the professional services agreement with HDR for the 2025 sewer comp plan.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, motion by Melissa and a second by Gary. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item I tonight is the approval of an agreement. This is Valdez Construction, Inc., and I'll have him turn this over to Chris Phillips. Chris.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Staff recommends a motion to award the construction contract for the wastewater treatment plant shop building project to Valdez Construction of Oak Harbor, Washington, in the amount of $1,601,536. Currently, several pieces of equipment, vehicles, and generators are stored outside in the weather. This new shop building at the wastewater treatment plant will provide an enclosed structure to both house these assets and provide a covered space to perform required maintenance out of weather. Additionally, the structure will be incorporating 140 solar panels to power the building and meet energy code requirements at higher than required levels. The structure is 40 foot by 100 foot. It includes 5 sizable vehicle bays and an upper storage loft. The low bid was provided by Valdez Construction Incorporated in the amount of $1,601,536. City staff recommends council award the construction bid for the wastewater treatment plant shop building project to Valdez Construction of Oak Harbor, Washington, in the amount of $1,601,536.
All right, questions for Chris on this item?
I'd move to approve the wastewater treatment plant shop building to Valdez Construction in the amount of $1,601,536.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Gary and a second by Juan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Chris. All right, item J tonight is approval of an ordinance. This is a HUD Section 108 loan, and Doug Valesky, our finance director, is here with us. Doug.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. So tonight, staff is recommending council approve ordinance number 3872. The city put in a request for a loan guarantee assistance for the Mount Vernon Library Commons project under Section 108 of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974. And we have been approved in the amount of $1.7 million. This funding will be used for the eligible activity of constructing the library portion of the Library Commons facility. So the next step is to receive council's approval for this loan, guarantee assistance contract, note and other related documents, and for council to grant delegating authority to execute and deliver these documents to the mayor. Once all these documents are completed and approved by the mayor, the city then can request the loan funding. So city staff is requesting council approval of ordinance number 3872.
All right, questions for Doug about this? All right.
I'd like to request that we approve ordinance number 3872 of the City of Mount Vernon, Washington, approving and authorizing a loan guarantee contract and note and related documents under Section 108 of the HUD Act of 1974 as amended to provide funds for the Mount Vernon Library Commons project and delegating authority to execute and deliver the note and the contract and related documents to the mayor.
Nicely done, Gary.
I'll second that. That's the longest one I've ever heard.
I know.
Thank you, Gary. You did
You
great.
came up with all the words.
I did, right there.
So amazing. All right, the motion by Mary, a second by Gary. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
That concludes our agenda items for this evening. I'll ask our city attorney if there is a need for an executive session
No.
this evening. You said no, right? No. All right. With that, then we'll be adjourned at 8:01.